Welcome to Brews Business. My name is Jacob Dubois, and today we are chatting with Jessica Bridge, principal broker owner of Element Real Estate. Jess has built several businesses and continues to be a community icon. Jess, welcome to Brews Business.
Thanks, Jacob. I appreciate you having me.
All right, before we get started, we always test the brew. Today we have two different brews. I am drinking Aqua VT, Blueberry Social, a recommendation from Jess. And Jess, what do you have?
So I actually have Topo Chico twist of grapefruit, which is the recommendation from my business partner, Dan Cypress.
Perfect. Let's give it a taste.
Okay.
Wow. So this is a blueberry kombucha made locally where both Jess and I reside. And it's incredible. I haven't had much kombucha outside of Vermont, but the stuff, that we get access to is pretty wonderful. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, that's actually my favorite flavor. I was supposed to be drinking that with you, except I already drank mine. I finished it about 20 minutes ago. So sorry about that, but that is my favorite. That is my favorite flavor. And I don't know if it just, they came out with that more recently because it was the Bernie themed, blue Bernie kombucha, yes. I guess. Anyway, delicious. I like Bernie, but that's not why I chose it. I'm a big fan. I don't know. Kombucha is an acquired taste. So
it is, but I like it. How's the Topo Chico over there?
It's delicious and it is not too grapefruity, which was the whole point that my business partner brought up when he said we should get this for the office because he doesn't like grapefruit. I do like grapefruit, but it's not too grapefruity. So yeah, I'm a big fan.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
All right. So the audience wants to know, talk us through the evolution of your professional career. I want to hear about the different businesses that you were involved in and kind of, everything that you've been working on up until now. And then we can dive deeper into Element Real Estate.
Okay. Oh, okay. So I moved to Vermont in 2000. And I had a hard time finding a job. I moved here from Park City, Utah. I'm from New Jersey originally. I was going to school in Nevada, studying hospitality at UNLV. I interned in Park City and then took a job there before I graduated in sort of high-end ski lodging and moved here, really had a hard time finding a job and was unemployed for a couple of months. And then I wound up working at the Red Square. And shortly after I was hired there as a bartender, the owner was leaving on an extended vacation. And he was like, I need you to run the bar. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. So I did that. And in 2003, I was still working at the Red Square. In 2003, there was an opportunity to open a bar which is right adjacent to the Red Square, the bar was ultimately called the Half Lounge, but at the time it was called the Restaurant, which was a restaurant, and it had one of the same owners as the Red Square. And he said, I want you to run this. And I said, I don't want to run it, but I'll take over the lease and buy the assets and change the concept. And I went into business with my now, someone that is family to me, but we started as strangers. His name is Tyree. and his wife Gina, and we opened the Half Lounge in 2003. And I remember calling him and saying, "Hey, I don't want to run this business for these respective owners. I would like to just open our own business. I can do this." And he's like, "Who is this?" And so there wasn't a lot of, I don't recommend going into business with someone that way. But I don't know. I just believe like the universe brought us together and it worked. And Tyree and Gina are members of my family now. I love them deeply, and it's been so anyway, 2003 we met, we opened a business, and it's 2021 and we're still closer than ever. So after that, Tyree is a tattoo artist and owns a couple of tattoo studios. And so we opened a tattoo studio in Winooski called Artistic Ink. I don't tattoo. I'm not an artist. I have plenty, many of which are from Tyree, but I do not. Anyway, I have different creative outlets, but art is not one of them. And you're happy that I'm not a tattoo artist. What happened then? So we opened a tattoo studio, and then I had another friend who said, "Let's open a catering business because you have a liquor license." And so we worked on a logo. I can attribute that largely to him and to a designer that we worked with. And then Bevo was born. And ultimately, sort of partners fluctuated in and out. And I wound up selling Bevo to an old friend, Kathleen Stein, and that was in 2011, I believe. And we were working together prior to that, but she took Bevo and I sold the Half Lounge in December 22nd, 2010. And in the middle of all of that, I got my real estate license in 2006. And that took about a year because Dan Cypress, my current and still partner, we studied, I don't know, like a chapter every 2 weeks, because I had so many other jobs that I needed to attend to. And so that was the pace that I could do it. And he also was employed. And so, it took us a year, and we used to, can I say this? We used to sneak into the Champlain College library and study, up on the top floor with those beautiful views, and passed our test and became realtors. And that was 2006. So, so I had a lot going on at that time, in my life. And hospitality, especially in a town like this, was a really wonderful sort of entree into real estate, because this is a business about relationships. And, not that hospitality requires that someone really trust you before they make you, make you a beverage. But, this is real estate is a very long-term profession. And I think anybody that's coming out of the hospitality industry can be really successful in this industry, because to be successful in the hospitality industry, you have to be a really hard worker. You have to be very motivated. You have to be, you have to have the ability to multitask all of the time under a lot of pressure. And it's your job to take the drama and the stress out of the situation. And something may be on fire in the kitchen, but everything arrives, to you at the right temperature at the right time, along with everybody else's food. So And, I bartended for a really long time at the Half Lounge for many years, among other places. And it's, it's just juggling. It's a lot of juggling all the time. It's remembering people's faces and names and what's going on with their families and caring about those things. Yeah, so it was really natural, odd, non-linear, natural progression, I think. So, yeah.
That's
Have my same business partner from way back then.
That's awesome. And you started Element when? In what year?
2009. So we originally worked at Remax, and we worked on a team at Remax, and we were on that team for about 2 years before we sort of went out on our own, still under the Remax umbrella, but we started Element Real Estate sort of as its own entity. You know how they'll be like the such and such team, and they're like John Doe team and the Sally Smith team. So we didn't want I didn't want it to be my name. Dan didn't want it to be his name. We just wanted it to sort of be its own entity. So that's when Element was born. Yeah, 2009.
Wow, that's cool. So I'm sensing some sort of pattern where you either find these businesses or find these people and decide to start something up. Is there, in your brain at the time, were you just trying to start whatever you thought was a good idea, or was it mainly the people that you wanted to work with, or industries that you were trying to attack?
So I wouldn't say that it was all that deliberate, right? I've worked in the hospitality industry since I was a teenager, and I was good at it. Like everybody, everybody's born. Not everybody believes this, but I believe that everyone is born with a gift, like an innate gift. And my gift is to just make people feel good. And so that can work in many industries. And I don't mean necessarily like good, like, have another beverage, but, heard and listened to and important and a priority. And that's not to say that I haven't screwed that up plenty of times in my life. I have, but you apologize for those things and then you commit to doing better next time. So it wasn't very deliberate, right? I was in the right place at the right time, and I was offered this opportunity to run somebody else's business. This was sort of a turning point. So I had a conversation, the owner of Red Square and another local business owner. We were sitting at the restaurant, which became the Half Lounge, having a meal together. And this other business owner said to me, Jess, some people are just meant to run other people's businesses. And I was like, okay, I got it. And that was enough fuel for me to not have that be the case. So I don't, I genuinely like people. I am a collaborator. It's much harder for me to work by myself than it is in a group or with others. Like even if I'm sitting in a room with somebody else, I like that better than just sitting in an office by myself. So anyway, I'm getting off topic. It wasn't that deliberate. Tyree was a tattoo artist and a really good one. And there was not a tattoo studio in Winooski, and a space presented itself. And we pursued that space and decided we should do this because it wasn't his first rodeo. He had owned and opened other tattoo studios, both for himself and other people. And so that was just an opportunity and we took it. I'm no longer a business owner of the tattoo studio either, just to clarify. That's all Tyree and Gina. So the catering company was another, I had a license and an opportunity and a partner that was willing to, it was his idea. He's like, we can do this. And I'm like, okay. But the we is pretty important to me. Even in my partnership now, we focus on what people are good at, and that's what they do, right? So I have a specific skill set, and it's not as though those skills can always be improved upon, and I can always gain new skills and evolve and learn. But at the same time, I know what I'm good at, and he knows what he's good at and what he prefers to be doing. And so we try to sort of stay in our lanes. And so I had a business partner that was a really good tattoo artist. And so we did that. And I had a business partner who was incredible with wines and spirits, and he wanted to cater. And so we were able to do that. And then, and then when Kathleen got involved in Bevo, she's a chef, and she's built that business into something wonderful. So this is going to sound so hokey, but I love it because I believe it. That's the universe. Like, that's just how it happens. And the opportunities were there, and I was open enough to see them, and I took them. And, but I also have spent a lot of time working in my life, and you sort of sacrifice a lot when you work a lot. So I have 2 kids now. I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and I'm trying to have a little balance. I want balance for the first time in my life. I'm not super great at it. I'm not very good at relaxing, but whatever, work in progress.
Yeah, it's, I, not that my opinion matters much in this arena, but it's very clear that you deserve some relaxation and some balance. I know that a lot of, some of these adventures have felt like they just happened, and they certainly didn't. But the fact of the matter is, they were successful because of you and the other partners, and I think that is definitely very visible for me. So it's no question that you're really well known in the community, and I personally want to know, what's the secret for being so well known, and on top of that, especially loved. I've never heard a negative comment about you, and I think that's pretty special. So, how do you make sure that your reputation and how people feel about you remains, positive?
This is so funny. How many people cry on your podcast? Not many. I feel so lucky. Like, I have been so blessed in my life with amazing people, and really incredible opportunities. And I grew up in a really blue collar home, and you don't really have anything but your word and your integrity. And again, when you acknowledge that, like, you can't do it all perfectly and you do make mistakes, you have to be willing to apologize for them and own that stuff. And I appreciate the compliments that that you just gave me. That's really great. I would say the golden rule is, like, that was kind of hammered into me my whole life by my grandparents and my parents. And you have to give what you want, even if it's hard, even if you don't want to, even you need good friends to, like, vent to and complain to and be frustrated and ultimately laugh with, right? You have to, like, you can't take yourself too seriously. Like, it's comical. My sort of path has been pretty, again, non-linear and a little odd, certainly non-traditional, but I just feel really lucky. And one of the hardest parts about owning a bar was that I couldn't be present with people, because they were having social time and I was working. And that was it, they were in like direct opposition. And so like they wanted to connect, but I had to like keep one eye on the person that looked like they had had too much to drink, and like one eye on the person that was about to spill their pint, and like what, you know, and that was the most challenging part, was like that I couldn't connect with anybody. And yet everybody always thought that I was connecting. And it leaves you with a feeling of being really torn. I don't think I necessarily had a very long view of things. It was like, this is the task at hand, and I know I can do this. I can work hard. I can accomplish this. But there wasn't a whole bunch of like future planning, which is why I feel like I've been lucky to have some business partners, my present one, that is better at that sort of thing. So the other thing is, I guess I won't ever ask anybody to do something that I would not do. So I've cleaned plenty of toilets in my day, and I've cleaned the ice machine, and I've put up the real estate signs, and I've run to the town offices, and but you have to go the extra mile. Like, that's the difference. That's the difference. And it's not about money. It's not about money. I mean, this is my job, and all of those things were my occupations, but that's not what drives me. And it's funny because sometimes, I was just having this conversation this morning, sometimes people will say, well, how much money are you making off of this deal? And I'm like, I gotta get my calculator. I actually don't know, because that's like, those are quarterly meetings, but that's not my role in the business. And that's not what motivates me personally. So yeah. I don't know. Answer your questions. I can answer the question.
No, that was wonderful. And I think too, if I may, if you continue to focus on, providing a wonderful service and not on the money, you end up accomplishing kind of both, if you will. So, if the only goal here is to, or what you really want to accomplish is, I want to make this person, feel valued and accomplish whatever they need, get them the property that they want, or sell the property that they want. You most certainly are going to accomplish that goal. But with somebody that's, a little more focused on, the money of the deal, and et cetera, the deal starts to fall apart. And maybe not entirely, but it starts to feel a little weird, right? It's obvious if you work with a partner that is seeking, if that's their number one priority is financials, then people can sense that. I think that's one of the things that makes this approach so valuable, is people can sense, what you're after. And if it's true and it's genuine, like you say, then people can understand that, and they can actually feel that, okay, Jess wants to work with me because she wants to help me get to this, get this property or sell this property. It's not necessarily about the money. So I think that's very admirable, and it's something that is long-term going to pay off, right? People are going to respect that, and they're going to feel better about you. So they'll probably recommend you to their friends or their family. So I think that's really unique. And I just remembered, I was watching your speech on kindness, and I wanted to ask you, can you explain, I feel like we're kind of touching on this a little bit, but can you explain how kindness impacts your business?
Like, realtors, we assist in the transaction, right? We help facilitate a transaction. So there's no need, so like realtor to realtor, right? Or like B2B. There's no reason why all of the interactions with the other realtors can't be like nice and kind. Like, we don't have to be buddies. But I don't know. You know the quote, like, you should leave every interaction better than when you got there, or better than when you started it. I'm totally butchering the quote. I'm sorry, but you know the quote I'm talking about, right? That's like, that's it, like, period. Like, we should all be evolving, or else sort of what's the point? But there's like no reason that you can't just like be kind and respectful to other people. And I don't mean like, look, sometimes you forget to make a phone call, or sometimes you forget to give somebody a heads up, but we negotiate for a living. But at the end of the day, right, there's a common goal. The seller wants to sell, and the buyer wants to buy. And the realtors in between, we don't have to fight with each other. And we have to raise the bar. Like, we need to raise the bar. We have to raise the bar for our entire profession with every interaction. Because our I think generally the reputation of sort of the real estate profession can be very salesy. And I don't know anybody that goes into any transaction or anything like, I'm going to go buy this car, I'm going to go buy this sweater, or I'm going to, and they're like, and I can't wait for like a super salesy experience. Like, nobody says that. And this is most of the time, like, your largest financial asset. It involves your family and potentially generations, and it's your stability, and it's memory making, and it's all of the, it's your home. You sleep there. Even if you don't do anything else there, you spend, like a third of your life there. So it's just, I don't know. That's like my baseline. Like, that's how you have to operate. I say to my husband and I were joking, we want two things for our children: for them to be kind humans, and to not own their own businesses. Like, those are the two things we want for our kids. Like, don't be self-employed, and be incredibly kind. Not in that order, right? Start out, be a kind human, and yeah. So that's it. It's the most important thing, I think.
Yeah. And I would have to agree. I think there's also another quote that's like, do everything with kindness. I think it's a start to it, but it just makes sense if you think about it for a while. You can understand that kindness it should be the common currency between any sort of transaction. And if you are in some sort of high pressure situation where you are negotiating on a price, kindness is only going to help both sides, right? So it doesn't make any sense for someone not to lead with it. But however, it is the world we live in. But I really appreciate, and I'm sure a lot of people that work with you appreciate you leading with kindness, and it makes you probably a little more of a favorite amongst other realtors, I'm assuming.
Well, it doesn't mean also, sorry, you can hear the radio outside. It doesn't mean also that you can't be honest and truthful and advocate for your seller or advocate for yourself. Like, it doesn't, they can all happen at the same time. And I just, okay. And that's also not to say like that I'm not super sarcastic, right? It's not to say that I'm not a top buster. It's not to say that I am not super type A and very driven and have standards so high that sometimes people say that they're too high or not reasonable. I have all of those things too, and I vent and I exercise and I do whatever I need to do so that when I have to show up, I can be kind, right? But humor is a really big part of sort of the behind the scenes for me. That's really key, because we need an outlet too, So if that makes any sense, like, I don't want you to think that I'm just like Zen and like totally calm all the time and peaceful and chill. Like I can be, but only if the other things are happening, only if I do have sarcasm, only if I do have humor, only if I do have exercise, which I don't get enough of right now, or sleep, right? So I need both, but I just feel like regardless of what is going on in your life with your circumstances, it's not really an excuse to make somebody else feel poorly, right? That's it.
I love that. Yeah, I have nothing to say. That last little sentence there is wonderful. And I feel like we've been touching on this, but I want to ask it to be a little more direct. How do you continue to top the charts as a realtor despite such a competitive industry?
Okay, so this is Kathleen Stein, right? This is the owner of Bevo. I'm going to give a shout out to Kathleen, my former business partner. She said to me one time, it had to be the early 2000s, but really. So the fact that I can actually remember this is amazing. But she said, I don't have to like focus on other people and say I want to be better than them. Like I just need, and I mean, listen, she didn't come up with this concept, right? But it sticks in my head. This conversation with Kathleen sticks in my head. She's like, I just need to be the absolute best that I can be, and that's it. Like that's it. So the same way that like when we have meetings within the company, it's like no. You have to be the best that you can be, and then we also know that there is still room for improvement beyond that, right? It doesn't mean that like you're perfect, and none of us are going to transcend. You got to put all of it forward all of the time when it comes to your work. And again, that's a pretty, like for me, right? That's a pretty clear statement, because I didn't just say like, you have to put everything forward when you're exercising, or you have to put everything forward when you're being a mom, which where I am more balanced person, I'd be saying I have to give everything to like momming so hard, right? But if I'm honest, I feel like I fall short there. Maybe all moms feel like that. I think a lot of moms feel like that, but and again, it's still not perfect, but we can try for it. And if that is what you're trying for over and over, then your results will be good.
Yeah, there's something to be said for if you're always trying for it, you'll never hit it, but maybe that's just what you need.
Right.
And I think I would argue that that's, if that's that's the goal long term, then you've probably hit it time and time and again more than you think. I would also just like to say thanks for bringing momming into my vocabulary. That's a new one. That's so good. All
Yeah.
right.
I will also say, I guess one more thing that I would like to say is that the team that we have here, like professionally, is incredible and really works to those standards, and they impress me. Like they impress me all the time, and their continued willingness to like do it over and over again and be better and just grow and to be able to witness this, because it's been a lot of years now that I've gotten to like watch people grow and develop, and that's pretty incredible to like witness that happening sort of outside of me, exclusive, just like, wow, I'm so impressed. And I've tried to spend time embracing the fact that there's a lot of people who are better at other things and that I should lean on them. And I feel like a lot of the things we're talking about are really like very basic principles of, like, whether you want to call them leadership principles or business principles, but they're really basic, like appreciate and celebrate and accept when people are better at something than you, and then ask them for help with those things. And I'm sort of in constant evolution of accepting that I don't do everything the best. And we sort of have a motto here, like, it doesn't matter who came up with the idea, we just want the best one. And that's what we'll go with. And if it wasn't the best one, then we'll retool. But I appreciate that, because we have some strong folks at the table that are like really bringing it. So
Yeah, I can tell, and I think a lot of other people are taking notice as well. And in a similar, on that topic, do you have any advice for someone trying to scale a team that's similar to Element?
Thomas was an old friend of mine, and he's like, I want to get into real estate. And I'm like, okay, this is how we did it. We did the online thing. You could work at your own pace, et cetera, et cetera. So he got his real estate license. He's like, okay, I'm going to start interviewing. And, he went to all the places, like all the usual suspects. And then he came back. He's like, okay, I'm ready to start working. And we're like, we're not hiring. And he's like, no. I'm going to work here. And we're like, no, we're actually not expanding right now. We hadn't considered it. For whatever reason, maybe we felt like we weren't ready. I don't know. We felt like, how can we provide enough leads to keep somebody, busy and successful? And he's like, I'm not leaving. Like, I'm done. This is it. And so Thomas was hired.
Wow.
And number one, tenacity and persistence. Thomas he's a wonderful human being. But, so I don't know, what's the advice? Like, be lucky. No, it's the same thing. Like, create an environment where people are stoked to come to work, right? Create an environment where people feel respected and heard. Create an environment where you can really have hard, deep, honest conversations, whether it's like me getting critical feedback about my role or something that I did. Like, nobody wants to be criticized. I don't know really how else you grow. Right. I mean, this is all sort of trial and error, and I don't know, like, that's what worked. Like, we want to have open lines of communication, and that's hard because you have to really commit on every level of the organization to that. And I feel like we do a good job. I just took sort of a decision-making assessment, like a business decision-making assessment for the company. And, the highest score that you could get, I got in the category of collaboration, right? Like collaborative decision-making, because we really want what is best. If there's a different method, then we want that method. And I think being open to, like, I don't have all the answers. I know where to get most of them. And I just have to sort of rely on that. And you have to try really hard to just keep ego out of it. It's like not beneficial. There are areas in life that I think your ego is beneficial, but they are few and far between. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just, you stole the words out of my brain. I was thinking about ego and how ego must, really kind of destroy a lot of good businesses, because, maybe some other employees have good ideas and the management doesn't want to act on it, et cetera. So I think the approach that you have allows for employees to come to you with ideas and feel like they are actually going to be considered and implemented. And as an employee, looking up to a boss, I think that's very valuable. It adds a level of confidence in your employees. And so I think that's very smart. And I'm not sure when you learned that, but it seems like you've been doing that for quite a while. And I think
It's a lot of practice.
yeah, I bet. I think another thing too here is, everything that we've been talking about seems to wrap around self-awareness. And it seems like, although, practicing it and talking about it are very different things. And even so, when you're in the thick of it, you're not really, thinking about self-awareness. You're just practicing of like, oh, let's get this person's opinion, or I wonder if they call somebody up and see if they have an idea of how to solve this problem. So I think that self-awareness is a big one when you're trying to build a team of multi-talented team that's going to collaborate well together. And I just have one final question for you today.
Sure.
What was the best part of your day?
Today, what was the best part of my day? Honestly, my kids sleep kind of late. Well, one of my kids is still in a crib, so he just hangs out. But the best part of my day today was my 4-year-old was still sleeping, and I crawled in his bed. And then when he got out of bed late, we snuggled a little bit, but then when he got out of bed later, he said to my husband, "Mommy slept with me last night." Because he fell asleep and I was with him, and then I crawled back in this morning. And it was the first night in many nights that I actually hadn't slept with one of my kids because they've had croup, which is, anyway, whatever, it's chest cold. And that's just cool. Just things like that are cool. And I mean, a lot of great business things happen today, right? Just because like I made new connections, or we were able to sort of check certain boxes and get through some challenging things. But today was a kid thing. Today was like just my kids. Yeah. So.
That's amazing. Well, Jess, I really want to thank you for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure, and you've shared so many great stories and tips. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
One last thing.
Yeah.
Where can the people find you? How do the people look you up, follow you, whatever you want?
So our Burlington office is at 139 Bank Street. We just opened an office in Stowe. And we aligned with a long-standing realtor and business owner, Gail Oberg, in Stowe. She was the former owner of Little River Realty. So we have a Stowe office. Element has a Stowe office now at 254 Mountain Road. And my phone, which everyone's like, don't give out your cell phone. It's 802-233-9817. And our website is realestatevt.com.
Perfect. That's easy. Thanks again.
Thanks. I appreciate it.